All right, let's have a look at some. Let's have a look at some algebra revision. All right, we have a look at some algebra questions, just some general algebra questions. All right, I'll start with question one. I'll put a few questions up and let's see if you can try this. The square root of t to the power 5 times the square root of t to the power 5. All right, I'm going to fill up the page with this. All right, let's have a look at these questions over here now. So the first thing is whenever we multiply two square roots, like the square root of t to the power 5 times the square root, what you must remember is that the roots will cancel out and you'll be left with t to the power 5 and you're done. And the reason is because, remember, the square root is the same as something that's to the power of a half. And so when you multiply it by itself, technically what you're doing is you multiplying like bases, so you're adding powers. So t to the power 5 to the power of 1 is just simply t to the power of 5. All right, using powers, remember the square root is the same as 1 over 2. The cube root of x, for example, is 1 over 3. The fifth root of x, remember, is x to the power of 1 over 5. The nth root of x is x to the power of 1 divided by n. The power is a fraction of the root. All right, in conversion, an equivalent. Let's have a look at the next one. The next one, what we have here is a difference of squares. How do I know that? Because I got a plus and a minus, and I got exactly the same first term. I got exactly the same last term. By simplifying this, I'm simply going to find the product of the two brackets and multiply using the method of FOIL. So 3x multiplies by 3x over here. That's going to become 9x squared. And then that's first. Then we got outer. 3x times minus k is going to be minus 3kx. K is a number, so 3k is another number. X is the variable. Okay, we don't need to know what k is, so we just put it there. Also, k comes before x, but x is the variable, so it's good to put it before anyway. We have the outer terms, then we have the inner terms, which is going to be 3x times k, which is 3xk, and it will be plus 3kx. And now you can see we have exactly the same terms, and so they will cancel out. But we're not done yet. We still have to multiply the last two terms, which is plus k times minus k, which is going to be minus k squared. And so we're left with 9x squared minus k squared. The square root of 25 t to the power 4 is the same as the square root of 25 times the square root of t to the power 4. And that's going to be 5 times, and the square root of this is going to be t squared. To explain that, let's have a look carefully. So we got the square root of t to the power 4. Remember, if it's t squared, what we know is that t squared times t squared equals t to the power 4. So what are we actually doing? We're halving it. Remember I said when you square root, it's the same as to the power of a half. So the square root of t to the power 4 is the same as t to the power 4 to the power of a half. And that's t to the power of 4 divided by 2. And that's t to the power of 2. Half multiplies by 4, goes underneath, and 4 divided by 2 is 2 for that. Okay. That's how we would explain that. All right, I'll leave that on there. Let's carry on. The next one, what I have over here is 0.01. Now that's the same as 1 divided by 100. And t to the power 5 is simply multiplying at the top. So I can just change this into t to the power 5. And I'm square rooting it. So I'm technically square rooting the top, and I'm square rooting the bottom. The top will follow a very similar trend to this over here. It will be t to the power 5 to the power of a half, and it will multiply to become t to the power of 5 over 2. 5 times 1 is 5 over 2. And so t to the power of 5 over 2 over the square root of 100, which is going to be 10. leaves me with that as my final answer there. All right. Looking at the next one, we have 1 minus x over x minus 1. And so for this one, I can reverse this and put a negative in front. And what you notice is that negative times x is negative x. Negative times negative 1 is positive 1. And there we go, negative x, positive 1. So we technically haven't changed anything. It's exactly equivalent. But now we have exactly the same term at the top and the bottom. We can cancel. And we're left with negative alone, which means there's a place value of 1 at the bottom and at the top. So negative 1. All right, let's have a look at these answers. The first one here, we're simplifying still, all right? So this is still a simplify question. But from question 8, 9, 10, 11, those are solving for x. Over here, what we need to do is factorize the top and factorize the bottom and then cancel. So this is going to be x plus 1, x plus 1. This will be x plus 1, x minus 1, difference of squares. And so I end up with x plus 1 divided by x minus 1. Over here, take out a common factor of x. I'm left with 2 minus x over x minus 2. Very similar to the previous example. We remember, once you put a negative, you can swap the terms around. So let's say we go back there and we do that. And we introduce a negative and we swap the bracket around. And so that bracket becomes that, and it cancels out, leaving me with negative x for that. All right. Here we're solving for x. Let's get these two in a single base, x to the power of 6 plus t. And this is x to the power of 2. So this is going to be 6 plus t equals to 2. And so t equals to 2 minus 6. T equals to negative 4. Over here, x equals to negative 7. Or 3x equals 2. Divide by 3 on both sides. X equals to 2 over 3. Over here, 35x equals 20. Divide both sides by 35. And therefore, x will equal 20 divided by 5 is 4. 35 divided by 5 is 7. X equals to 4 over 7. And over here, we cube root both sides to get rid of the cube, so that those two cancel out, leaving me with 8 over x. And by the way, this is equal to 8 over x, which is going to be equal to the cube root of 1,000 is 10. So we end up with 8 equals 10x. All right, so let's just clear in here. So 8 equals 10x. Divide both sides by 10. And so therefore, x equals to 0.8 or 8 over 10. All right, and we got those questions over there.